A bit of a change of gear, I suppose, from engineering to people. Will, wherever he is, gave me a bit of material to start my presentation today. He said, don't people know when they're getting tired. So I just thought I'm going to throw this out there. Who's ever actually fallen asleep at the wheel of a car before, or any heavy vehicle? Hands up, show of hands. I have. Mine is up. Who here has actually driven a vehicle and fought against sleep? So you're just travelling along. Oh. Okay, who hasn't done that? Show your hand. Right, so, and of the people in the room who have fallen asleep, who meant to fall asleep? No one, right? So it's an interesting thing last night when you fell asleep. You don't go, we don't have this much control. I'm going to go to bed now, and I'm going to put my head on the pillow and go 3, 2, 1, now, right? So it doesn't happen like that. You fall asleep, you wake up the next morning and go, wow, I went to sleep real quick last night. Or the alternative, I couldn't fall asleep and I'm now short of sleep and I had trouble getting to sleep. So you don't know those moments. So it sort of gives you a context that, sometimes we don't. Now I'm going to put you in the seat of a miner now. You're working 12.5-hour shifts. Sometimes you're now needing to travel an hour either side because geographically, they're often isolated. You're just off the back of 3, maybe 7 continuous night shifts, going through that witching hour. So just stay up today and then through tonight and do something that's really, really boring and monotonous and see how you're travelling, right? So you can see here, and then you've got this head noise saying, I've got to keep the wheels turning, don't want to be perceived as not being good at my job. I'm only young at this, right? So people are going to judge me if I actually have to crawl up and pull up. Or no, I'm full of experience, I'm an 18-year career miner, and people expect more of me. If I pull up, I'll be judged as well. So it doesn't matter where you are on the continuum. So what is FatigueTech and where do we fit? So you've got procedure, and you've got in-cab cameras, which is a tremendous technology that's been brought about and can identify people falling asleep at the wheel, give them a trigger. We don't do that. We sit somewhere in the middle. So we automate the procedure, any company's procedural elements in FatigueTech, and then we're able to monitor, the compliance of that procedure and its institution, which I'll talk about a little bit more. So companies we work with fit somewhere on this maturity scale that I've put up here. Sometimes their fatigue risk management systems are non-existent, so it's not considered a risk. That sort of doesn't exist so much anymore, but there's no system to collect data, no education intervention. You see it, compliant with the legislative requirements, poor assessment, low levels of fatigue reported, and uncoordinated control. So it's every man for themselves. If I ask any mining clients in the room and I ask you, how well do you manage fatigue? Or any operation that's sending contractors out into the field, how well do you manage fatigue? Don't know, is often the response we get. So again, that's the gap we're trying to fill in the market in terms of saying, what does that space look like? Well, actually, we are compliant with our work hour guidelines. Everyone's got a journey. We're 100% compliant with journey management plans. And our people, if they get fatigue, they report fatigue. We can see that. And actually, I can tell you the top 5 things that they do in their work context to manage fatigue. So what I'm starting to describe here is more progressive. So metrics are positively driving safety performance. They're routinely managed. Communication monitoring, so that transparency of a safety environment in terms of the safe environment is the one that you go, how do you manage fatigue? Actually, I think we manage that pretty good. I'll give you an example. One of our guys stopped on the way home, rang up the supervisor, had a safety share. So how do you actually promote that culture? And how do you actually turn fatigue risk management into a solution rather than a problem? Right? So FatigueTech, what is it? It's basically to automate and enhance your fatigue risk management system and optimise the balance between service delivery, efficacy and efficiency, and worker health and safety. So I think the most important part of that is, coming down to the objective. How do we actually provide the knowledge, the skills, and I've got the screen there too, and resources for workers and their leaders to follow a systematic process to implement fatigue? So we want to get out of the way of people. We don't want to increase the burden. FatigueTech's there to decrease supervisor burden and worker burden, saying, well, I got trained on that procedure, but I wasn't aware of it. Well, FatigueTech will push that notification if they're in breach of a working hour, and it'll tell them, what do you need to do right now? Yeah, and then it'll give them the the latest tools to actually risk assess, put a journey management plan in place without them having to think about it. So it'll push the notification to the worker and the leader. So it provides the tools for organisations' workers to fulfil their duty of care, and it provides organisations with the real-time data collection. So they're in terms of the monitoring and effectiveness. So I think that's an important piece as well. It's not lag data. Oh, geez, we've had 15 breaches of our work hour guidelines in the last week. It actually tells them in real time, so they can correct it and address it in real time. Yeah. And then help design and adapt and enhance fatigue risk management practices and solutions. So some of the clients that we are currently using it across utilities in coal mining, we've got Glencore. With BHP, we're talking with a few other mining houses in using some of the solutions in FatigueTech. And it's led to adaptation. So, and that's not only a 12.5-hour shift with 2 half-an-hour shifts. Well, now, how do they integrate a discretionary shift in the highest fatigue zones? And how best can those people use those discretionary breaks? Is it napping? Is it having a conversation? Is it having a break? Is it hydrating? Is it having caffeine? And so some of those questions are being answered. And also, and I think the last thing before, I'm just going to show a short clip on this, and that is when in-cab cameras do alert. We're all trying to avoid that as an end stage. FatigueTech's trying to get people more aware of their fatigue symptoms and addressing and adapting and putting preventative strategies in place before they get that trigger, which is a very effective control, and it's changed culture. And what do you do with people when they have recurrent fatigue alerts? So again, FatigueTech's got a few solutions to enable and support those individuals as well, back and return to work, fit for work. So I'm going to just show my video. Workplaces can now manage fatigue easier than ever before using the FatigueTech app. FatigueTech is a proven platform that brings together work hour monitoring, practical risk assessment tools, personal fatigue assessment support, journey management, and team compliance functions. FatigueTech integrates real-time data to guide decisions and make work safer and more efficient. FatigueTech helps automate and improve compliance, reduce the likelihood of fatigue, and results in a workplace that's happier, healthier, and safer. Workers stay safer with easy-to-use tools. Supervisors can focus on their team instead of drowning in paperwork. Workplaces save time and money by balancing productivity with worker health and safety. FatigueTech, automating fatigue risk management. Thank you. That's my presentation. Myself and Chris are here, and we'll take any questions during the breaks. Thanks very much for listening.